Today is May 2nd, 2018. I'm Jake Morphonios with Blackstone Intelligence. British journalist Matt Drake is reporting that Russian warships transporting military vehicles have been spotted headed toward Syria. And there are photographs that I've seen online. And from what I'm gathering from other sources, Russia is clearly concerned about these ramped up Israeli airstrikes going on in Syria against Syrian and Iranian forces. They're worried that this could reverse some of the progress that Russia has been making in securing Syria from these U.S. coalition interventions. So what Russia is doing is they are quickly resupplying Syria with military hardware, with vehicles, to reinforce their own coalition. And Turkish sources are reporting that the BSF Taper class LST Nikolai Felenchikov is en route to the Russian air. Russia's got a base in Latakia. They've also got a big base in Tartus, Syria. And so this particular ship is going to the Tartus location. And you can see in the photographs, they've got these different military vehicles on the deck. And all of this news that I'm seeing really supports the belief that Russian relations with Israel has reached a new low. And the problem is that Russia, they don't want to have direct warfare with the United States. But with the United States using Israeli airstrikes now as a proxy to attack the Russian coalition forces, direct conflict with Israel is really becoming inevitable at this point. And we all know what that means. That means the United States is going to come running to Israel's aid if Russia knocks down any of the Israeli fighter jets. So up until recently, Russia and Israel have been doing like the United States and Russia have been doing. They've got these backdoor communications where Israel would notify Russia in advance of Israeli airstrikes just before they happen to give Russia the opportunity to get their personnel out of the way. But these communications have completely broken down. And Israel is not only not giving Russia advance notice anymore, so that Russia can get its own troops out of the way, but what the United States and Israel are now doing is especially deceptive. Some of you asked in comment sections on videos this week how it is that I think Israel was able to, with Russia and Syria on guard, how is it that Israel was able to come in again and carry out all of these successful airstrikes that killed the Syrian and Iranian soldiers and targeted some of their weapons depots and compounds? Well, let me tell you what I learned. One of the ways that Russia and the United States have been able to avoid shooting down each other's jets, which would trigger World War III, is that they track the transponder signals of the combat aircraft that are flying in Syrian airspace. Remember, Russia and the United States both have fighter jets swooping past each other, flying in the same airspace, shooting each other's proxies down on the ground. So there's potential here for one side or the other to hit the other's jet. So, for example, if Russian or Syrian air defenses detect this jet coming in, and it's not the United States, some kind of foreign fighter jet streaking into the local airspace, what they do is they'll check the transponder code on that jet. If it turns out to be an American Air Force jet, they're not going to fire on it. They don't want to shoot it down. The repercussions of shooting down a U.S. Air Force jet is just too great. So it's better to let the U.S. Air Force go ahead and carry out their airstrikes rather than shoot down the jet with surface-to-air missiles. But that doesn't apply to Israeli Air Force jets. So if Israeli jets enter Syrian airspace, it's their fair game. And Syria has shot down multiple Israeli jets this year because they've got good missile defense systems there. But things have taken this new, very distressing turn, because what happened this past week is that the United States and Israel coordinated these Israeli airstrikes. It wasn't just Israel doing it on their own. They did it with the full support of the United States. Israel used F-15 Ra'am. These are multi-role combat aircraft. Everyone knows these are Israeli jets. But what they did was they faked their transponder signals. So on radar, it looked like these were actually U.S. Air Force 15E Strike Eagles. And not only that, but instead of flying in from the south, from Israel, and going up into Syria, which is what would be expected, what they've done in the past, this time these Israeli jets followed a route through Jordan and through Iraq to enter Syria. And again, this is done to mimic the routes of U.S. fighter jets and make it look like these are American jets. Russia and Syria, they don't have nearly as many of these air defense systems set up in the eastern part of the country, because until now, the only jets entering from that direction were U.S. fighters. And they don't want to shoot down the U.S. fighter jets. And one more thing that they did is these Israeli aircraft used Delilah standoff missiles and GBU-39B small diameter bombs. And the reason that that is significant is because these kinds of bombs, these are 250-pound GPS-guided glide bombs. They only have a maximum range of about 60 miles. And that's if they're released from high altitude. So what this tells us is that these Israeli jets, they would have had, since they entered in from the east, they would have had to fly for a significant distance. They would have been in Syrian airspace for a long time before they eventually fired off these missiles over in the western area of the country where they struck the targets. So that means that Syrian and Russian radars, they would have had these Israeli aircraft on their radar for quite some time. If they had realized that these were Israeli jets, they would have had ample opportunity to shoot them down, as they've done in the past. So the fact that Israel was able to fly for so long inside Syrian airspace without a single missile being fired at them, that only serves to confirm that the Russians and the Syrians thought that these were U.S. fighter jets. So the reason that these last airstrikes were so effective, to answer the question, it's because the United States and Israel tricked Russia and Syria into thinking that these Israeli jets were actually U.S. Air Force jets by changing the transponder codes. That way the Russian and Syrian air defenses wouldn't try and shoot down the jets. Now, you say, well, all is fair in love and war, but here's the main problem with this. This trick may have worked the first time, but going forward, now Russia and Syria, they can't use this previous practice of identifying jets by their transponder codes to avoid accidentally shooting down U.S. aircraft while being able to repel Israel or whoever else. Now that Israel is pretending to be the U.S. Air Force, either the Russians and Syrians are going to have to let Israel come in and do whatever they want in Syria without consequence, or they're going to have to start firing missiles to bring down jets that could very well be U.S. fighter jets. And if that happens, we've got the likelihood of World War III. So folks, this is not a good thing. This is not a wise strategy by the United States. It's extremely provocative, extremely dangerous, and guaranteed this is eventually going to result in some mistake that is going to ramp up the escalation. And I'll also, just real quick, I'll mention that all of my other observations of what I see going on with the troop and vehicle movements in the region, it strongly suggests that both sides are fully expecting a direct war between Israel and Iran. It's coming. It's coming. But we'll talk about that in another video. And folks, just a reminder, tomorrow I'm going to be doing the drawing for the winner of the 1984 book. This copy by George Orwell. Great story, hardback book, brand new. So if you want in on this drawing, all you have to do is go to paypal.me/endtimesnewsreport or patreon.com/endtimesnewsreport and make a donation to support my work between now and Thursday afternoon, and I'll do the drawing Thursday evening. And also anybody that has sent in donations to me, to my P.O. box this week that I receive by tomorrow afternoon, I'll enter those in the drawing as well. So I'll make sure and sign it for you if you want. I'll send it to you free of charge, no shipping. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. For Blackstone Intelligence, I'm Jake Morphonios.